pretty, I'm going to record it for other people to be able to watch this. But for the purpose for today is not to leave here knowing everything there is to know about the new timekeeping system and answering all your questions, things like that. This really is to just get you guys a taste of what you're going to come back to either starting July 1st if you're a 12-month employee, on the 22nd if you return on July 22nd, or July 29th if you return on July 29th. So I'm just going to briefly go over this. I'm happy to answer any very general questions, but when you come back for those training dates, again, aligned to your work calendar, we'll go a lot more in depth. And we'll talk about, how to request leave. We'll talk about expectations. If there's questions about when you should punch in and out and things like that. The purpose today, again, is to just give you guys a very quick overview of what to expect. So just to start out, obviously, as you can see, this doesn't look like Kronos because this is no longer a Kronos product that we're going to be using starting July 1st. Okay, this is called Time Clock Plus. This is going to be our new timekeeping system. So through the end of June, you will use Kronos, and then starting in July, that's when we're going to be going to Time Clock Plus. Okay, so what you'll see when you enter, there's going to be two ways that you can clock in and out. The first one is all of the Kronos clocks will be replaced with iPads. And so if you go in, whatever door you normally punch in at and your Kronos clock that you punch in out, there will be an iPad available. And the iPad will look like this. This will be the screen that you'll see. The other option is that this will be available on your computer. So when you get into, if you work in an office or even B&O, if you have a desk that you have that there's a computer there, you'll be able to log on to this website and you'll see this screen. And that's how I am on this one right now, is I'm logged onto the website. And so you'll have access to that to either punch in either at the iPad terminals, which will be where the clocks currently are, or at your computer on your desktop or laptop. Okay, so once again, you'll see this screen here. It's going to ask you for your ID number. So if I'm coming to work, I'm clocking in, I'm just going to put my employee ID number. So you're going to need to know your employee ID number, probably 8300 something, 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 or something around that. Okay, I'm going to pretend my ID number is 1, but again, it's going to be your employee ID number. Okay, and I'm just going to click clock in. And this is actually, we were playing around with this, so this is what it's going to look like if you had a missed clock in. But if you didn't, skip all those screens, you'd have this job code. Okay, so if you have multiple jobs, if you just have one job, it's not going to give you a job code. It's going to clock you in automatically. If you have multiple jobs, though, it'll give you a screen where you can click which job this is. So let's say, for example, let's say I'm a cook and also a kitchen manager trainee. This will allow me to punch in under the correct job. Or let's say I am, I'm a lead maintenance tech, and I'm going to do some extra work on Saturday because there's a use of facilities request. Okay, that would also show up in the description that you'd be able to click on. Okay, so you're going to click on the appropriate job and just continue, and it'll just tell you that you've clocked in successfully. Okay, and it's simple as that. The other piece too that it didn't show up on here because we're still working out some of the kinks, but once you click your ID, it's going to ask you for your PIN number. Okay, and the PIN number is going to be the last 4 digits of your cell phone. Okay, so the last 4 digits of your cell phone. So you'll have your employee ID and the last 4 digits of your cell phone. Okay, so that's clocking in. As we know next year as well, is that every single employee is going to clock in and out for lunch. Every single hourly employee. Hourly employees are going to clock in and out for lunch. Okay, so some of you right now are set up to where your lunch is automatically deducted. That will not be the case next year. Next year, every hourly employee has to clock in and out for lunch. Okay, so I've clocked in for the day. Okay, now I'm ready to go to lunch. So it's the same process. I'm going to click my ID number. I'm going to leave on lunch. It would ask me for my PIN. Type that in, press continue, and now I'm out on lunch. Okay, again. Okay, I take my 30-minute lunch. I come back, and now I'm going to do my ID number. I'm returning from lunch. Ask me for my PIN. Type that in. Again, I don't know why it asks for the job again, but you're going to say what job you're working. Now my return from lunch is successful. Okay, and then now I'm done for the day. So same operation here, my employee ID number, clock out. It'll ask me for my PIN, type in my PIN, and now I've clocked out. So that's just kind of an overview of clocking in and out. And so that's just as simple as that. Now, the nice thing that you don't have access to here in Kronos, but you will have access in Time Clock Plus, is you'll be able to now see and verify your times. And again, you don't have to sit there at the iPad and do this when you walk in the door. You can sit at your desktop and take a look at your hours. So if you wanted to take a look at what your punches are, what your weekly hours are, or when we request time off, you're going to do your ID number and you're going to log onto your dashboard. Okay. And then you'll be able to see your hours. You could still clock in and out if you were in your dashboard already. This middle screen is the clock operations, like you saw on that home screen. And then you'll also see your accruals and your leave requests. Okay, so you'll have everything that you'll be able to log on to the dashboard and see, again, all of your punch in and out. And again, I can jump to view the hours here and see exactly when my punches in and out were. Or I can always go back to, like my dashboard again, and this will be the screen here you have. Okay, so we're not gonna, again, there's other things like requesting a leave, viewing leaves, things like that, viewing your, last punch in hours and things like that. I'm not gonna get into all the details here, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what it's going to look like when you return, if you're a 12-month employee starting July 1st, but when you reach, if you're a 10-month employee and you're leaving over the next couple of weeks, when you return back in July. Okay, so at this point, again, if there's any very specific questions, we'll hold off until the trainings that come later. But are there any very general questions about the time clock system? The thing that I, again, wanted you to know today is that starting July 1st, there's going to be a new timekeeping system. It's not going to be Kronos anymore. It's going to be Time Clock Plus. The editors are going to be the same. So right now, if you're admin coordinator or whoever is editing your time, they're going to have the appropriate access and the appropriate trainings to manage that time, and we'll have a separate training for those. And then also your accruals and your leave requests will come through Time Clock Plus for hourly employees. Okay. Is there any, I think payroll, I think you guys are on here. Damien, I think you guys are on here. Is there anything that I missed in just kind of this general overview?
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
Okay, excellent. So is there anybody that has any questions? If you guys want to put, just so that we're not unmuting and talking all at once, if you want to put like question in the chat or something like that. Or if you do want to unmute yourself and see, are there any questions you guys have?
What about if the phone numbers end in the same, like the 4 last digits? Because it could be one that.
Yes, good question. So the last 4 digits is your PIN. So similar to like the PIN at, so similar to like a PIN number, like I could have the same PIN number that somebody else does, but my credit card number is different. So it's the same idea here, is that your ID number is going to be different. So even if you have the same PIN, it's not going to matter. The idea with the PIN is it's just an extra layer of security, so that if, let's say, my employee ID number is 83001111 and Damien's employee ID number is 83001112, and so I'm typing that in and I accidentally click the 2 instead of the 1, it's not going to punch him in, because when I go to enter the PIN, it's not going to be valid. So it's okay to have the same PIN numbers. Okay, the idea is just that you have different than probably a close by employee ID, so that way you can just make sure that you're not mispunching accidentally. Okay, good question.
And also, Derek, with that question, we want to make sure that everyone does have their cell phone numbers on file. When I was running through it, I was using some of the home numbers, which I'm hoping are actual cell phones. So, but there were people who did not have phone numbers on file. So you would want to contact HR to get that updated.
Thank you. Floor, yes, so both, yep, so desktop or laptops, yep, that will work. Stephanie, good question. Nope, the 30-minute break is still a required break to take, so you still have to take your 30-minute break. Yeah, so what's going to happen is for,
Derek,
yes,
I have a question. What happens if you're home?
if you're at home, it's going to geo-fence it, so you're not going to be able to punch in from home. Okay. Gil, so if you currently have one job code, we will add them as the e-pars come through. So you've probably heard that term before of entering e-pars for use of facilities. I think Jasmine usually does that. And so when she enters that e-par, that's gonna notify payroll once it gets through the process to add in that job code so that when you go to punch in for that job, you'll have that additional job code assigned. Okay. Yes, Damien. So no cards anymore. You're not gonna have a Kronos card or anything like that. You just need to make sure you know your employee ID and then the last 4 digits of your phone number.
Derek,
Yes.
if you call in sick, how do you do it?
So calling in sick is going to be, it's like similar to what you do now, is you would put in your time clock plus, you go into your leave to enter that time in time clock plus, to enter that sick time in time clock plus. So currently it's entered in frontline. It's not going to be entered in frontline anymore. You're going to put that into time clock plus. And we'll go over more specifically how to do that at the next training in June and July.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Is there a way to practice on this before July? So not really. We are currently testing. There are a few employees that we currently are working with to test this throughout, but there's not really kind of a way to, other than giving certain groups of employees that test. It's not something that we wanted to roll out to everybody at this point to kind of play around with. So we'll have more trainings, and your admin coordinator, whoever is your time clock editor, can obviously help you through the process if we have some missed punches and things like that. But it is a very simple process overall. So we can kind of go through and we'll check in with you guys to make sure that we're all okay when we get started. And yes, Diane, yep, if you were not clocking out for lunch before, you now are. Every hourly employee is going to clock in and out for lunch. So for the phones at this point, there is an option to do it on the phone, but we're not going to start with that option yet. Okay, we wanted to make sure that we were very familiar with the Time Clock Plus system and make sure that we could do it from our desktop and the iPads before we roll it out to the phone. But that's something that we definitely could look into for the future. Okay, any other questions? Again, we'll go more in depth and more, have more specificity when we get to June and July, but we just, again, wanted to just give you a heads up that this is coming so that when you come back to work and you see this, you're not like, what is this? We don't know what this is. And you have that idea. Okay, so that's it. I didn't want to keep you guys any longer than you have to. So thank you guys so much for attending today. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful summer and get a chance to take some vacation and all of that piece. But if there are any questions between now and then, reach out to payroll, reach out to myself. We're happy to assist. And we'll see you at the next training. All right, well.